Hello everyone, I am back with a new video on this FSL series. I am your FSL expert here in Value Hub, and as usual, I'm guiding you in this series with hands-on work. So for today, our agenda is scheduling policy, work rules, service objectives, appointment booking, and emergency dispatch. So I will be explaining you what these things are and what exactly their significance is in FSL. So we will start with scheduling policy. So what exactly is a scheduling policy? Well, a scheduling policy is nothing but a set of rules and objectives that helps a schedule optimizer make decisions. So in easier terms, let's say you have a company that has the policy of the customer first. For example, that is, they always focus more on the customer's requirements over anything else. So the customer first scheduling policy, once applied, will make sure that the scheduling optimizer in FSL app focuses on the customer's requirements over everything else. Now, there are many other such scheduling policies. We will take a look at them one by one actually. So we will be going on to our org, and as you can see right here, we will be going on to our org, and we'll open field service admin. I'm sure you know how to open field service admin from the app exchange here. So in field service admin, you'll see it's mostly towards the corner section. Click on more and you can come across scheduling policies. So scheduling policies here, as you can see, I'll click on all the scheduling policies for better viewing. So these are the 4 scheduling policies that are given as a standard by Salesforce in itself. Customer first, emergency, high intensity, and soft boundaries. So we'll take a look at them one by one. So customer first, as I told you already, we will click on it and you can see in the details section, the description of that particular scheduling policy will be shown. So as you can see in customer first, it's basically prioritizing a customer over everything. This policy balances great customer service with travel minimization. So all the appointments following this policy are graded based on the customer's selection of any employee. So if your customer, let's say, wants any specific employee, then that person will be preferred over every other candidate. Okay. And then the second priority of this policy is the travel minimization, which is arriving onto the customers at the shortest time possible. So let's say the travel time is on an average 30 minutes. The fastest that you can go is 20 minutes. So that particular candidate who can go faster, that is the second priority, obviously. The second priority is that 20-minute candidate will be preferred over the other candidate that takes 30 minutes. Okay, so that's how a scheduling policy works. The scheduler optimizer basically will follow this particular policy, will follow the priorities mentioned within this policy, and will schedule the candidates. Okay, so that's the first scheduling policy, the customer first. Now we will go back to scheduling policies and we'll click on the second one, emergency. So next we have emergency here, and as you can see in the description box, any appointment that is scheduled in an emergency is prioritized over everything else. Literally everything. So let's say there's an emergency situation that has occurred. An emergency, okay? So in emergency, a work order has been created, an emergency candidate will be dispatched immediately over everything, no matter what work he's already doing, nothing will be bothered. He will immediately be dispatched from that particular location to the customer's location for the emergency appointment. That is the emergency scheduling policy. Now we'll move on to the third one, which is high intensity. Now, high intensity is kind of the exact opposite of a customer first. So here what happens is the productivity of the resource is preferred over the customer preference. Basically, a policy that helps finish as many work orders as possible at the shortest time. So this policy is mostly used in heavy deadline situations or in high storm scenarios, but there's a lot of work to be done and too little time to do it. Okay. So in such situations, high intensity scheduling policy is preferred. So the shortest time possible, the highest amount of work has to be done. That's the kind of scheduling policy high intensity is. Now we go on to the last scheduling policy that is given here, that is soft boundaries. So in soft boundaries, it simply allows resources to cover territories outside their service territory. Now I have already shown you in previous videos, right? The service resources can only function within particular service territories that they have been assigned to. Yeah, so soft boundary breaks all those rules. So once a soft boundary policy is applied, Basically, the resources can share their service territories among each other. Okay, so this kind of is only used in situations where you don't have many resources, but there's a lot of work to be done. Okay, so a lot of work, but little resources, less resources. So that's when soft boundaries apply. So resources allowed to travel outside their territory zone and fulfill the customer's orders. So these are the scheduling policies. Now, you can also create custom scheduling policies, obviously. These are just the standard ones that are provided by Salesforce. So you just click on New, come to scheduling policies, click on New, and you can create a brand new scheduling policy here. So I'm creating a new policy, let's say, I'll just give a random name. Let's say dispatch. And dispatch emergency. Let's just anything. I'm just giving a random name. And you can add a description here which states the purpose and the reason and what kind of situation and everything would happen if the scheduling policies like clicked. So that's the description. And basically you can just save it here. Just click on save and a new scheduling policy will be created. Just that's how easy it is. So that's basically how you create a scheduling policy. As you can see, this detail has been opened and this is the deep description box. This is the related list. Now this we will come on to later on, work rules, service objectives. We will focus on this just within a minute. So these are the scheduling policies. Once we come back here, as you can see, the dispatch emergency new scheduling policy has already been created here. Okay. Now we will go on to the other parts, the work rules and service objectives. Now these two, work rules and service objectives, are two very important elements on which a scheduling policy is based on. Okay. So what is a work rule exactly? A work rule is nothing but a set of rules. I'll go on to the PPT for easier reference. Right here. So work rules refine the list of candidates for a service appointment by rejecting the service resources that violate any rule. Now for easier understanding, work rules are a set of rules that help us select which candidate is better than the other for which appointment by excluding the ones that don't follow that particular work rule. So that's basically a rule, okay? Work rule. In even more easier terms, let's say a work rule, let's say a work rule called active resources, as you can see here in this corner, active resources, that has been applied. Let's say you have applied the work rule active resources in your company, which means that this particular work rule will eliminate any resource who is not active, okay, and will suggest only the active members in the scheduler. Similarly, let's say a work rule due date will eliminate any resource who is not available on that particular date. Let's say you want your material delivered, you want the material repaired, within 17th of February. So any resource who is not available within 17th, 16th, 17th of February, or whichever date that you select, will be eliminated. Simple. That's how a work rule functions. And there are many such work rules. We'll come here, back to our org. And as you can see, I've clicked on work rules right next to scheduling policies, and we'll see what the work rules are. Click on all the work rules. So these are the work rules that are given on a standard by Salesforce itself. Okay. So like I said, active resources and due date, I've already mentioned these two. Now we will go to the earliest start permitted. The earliest start permitted is a work rule that basically selects the service resources who are available only on the dates from where the earliest start is allowed. So let's say you are allowed to start at the earliest from 13th of February. So any service resource who is not available on 13th of February or after 13th of February will be eliminated easily. So that's basically how a work rule works. There are many other work rules also, such as excluded resources or match skills, match territory. Well, match skills is a work rule that selects service resources based on the skills. So if a customer wants a service resource who knows how to repair, then the work rule will suggest candidates who has repair as their skill set. I have already shown you in the previous videos how to attach a skill set to a service resource. So we will be following that. The scheduling optimizer will be following that particular work that you have done. So that's match skills, match skill work rule. Okay. Now in the match skill work rule, as you can see in the details section, there's a match skill level option. And if you remember, skill level was an editable, customizable option actually. So you could have added let's say skill level 10 or skill level 11 of a particular service resource, right? You already know what a skill level is. So if you click on this, let's say I click on edit here, and I'm clicking on the match skill level. So what happens is you are now matching based on the skill level. The work rule here will be eliminating anyone or any candidate, who does not match the particular skill level that you're searching for. Okay, so that's how this works. I'm unclicking that for now, just because. Now we will go back to the work rules, and there are many others like maximum travel from home, the required service resource. The required service resource is one that where a customer prefers a particular service resource. Let's say customer prefers resource A, then resource A will be preferred in the scheduling optimizer over any other candidate. Okay, so that's required service resource. Then we have got others also such as service appointment visiting hours, service crew resources availability, working territories. Working territories will match the territories that the customer is in and the showroom or wherever your showroom or warehouse is. If the territory matches, only candidates within those territories will be suggested by the optimizer. That's working territory. So work rules are actually pretty simple. They are exactly what the name suggests. So it's not really that hard to understand like which work rule is applied where. So that's a work rule. Now we will move on to the next part, which is service objectives. So these options are mostly in this more section, as you can see here. So don't get confused on this. If you can't find it initially within the entire layout, just click on more and you'll find scheduling policies, work rules, service objectives, and etc. Okay. So now coming on to what service objectives are. So service objectives basically indicates a policy's purpose. So they are simply the purpose, that is the ultimate goal that the policy wants to focus on. For example, I'm giving ASAP, as you can see here, a service goal name. So ASAP is, as you can see, as you know, its full form is as soon as possible. That's exactly what it is. ASAP will focus on providing the fastest service possible. So policies such as minimize time, customer first, soft boundaries, all these scheduling policies that we just discussed, yes, all of those will be involved in service objective ASAP. Because all of these focus on one thing, that is finish the service as fast as possible, right? So that's ASAP. That's also the goal of ASAP. So similar goals, similar objectives. Okay, that's how service objective works. We'll see it here. We clicked on service objectives, and as you can see, these are the standard ones that has been provided by Salesforce once again. Now we just discussed ASAP here. I'm clicking on ASAP once just to check. In the details section, this is the ASAP that has been created, and this is the scheduling policy that has been added here. As you can see, soft boundaries, customer first, high intensity. These are the scheduling policies that are followed by this particular service objective. Next, we will go on to the other ones. That is, for example, I'll start with minimize overtime. So what exactly is minimize overtime? Well, minimize overtime is providing the fastest service possible. Okay, once again, minimize overtime. My apologies. I clicked on the wrong one. Okay, so minimize overtime is slightly different. Minimize overtime is basically you have to finish the work in the fastest time possible so that you don't have to perform overtime. Okay, so let's say your service appointment has the time that has been given from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so you have to finish. You have to make sure that your candidate finishes the work within 4 p.m. I mean 5 p.m. so that they don't have to do overtime from 5 to 5:30 or 5 to 6. Okay, so that's basically what minimize overtime is. Minimize overtime service objective will prefer candidates who can finish their work within the scheduled time and don't really need to serve overtime. Now I'll show you how to add a scheduling policy here. Just click on new, and here the box will appear. This is the service goal, that is minimize overtime. And you'll find scheduling policies here. So you can just add anything. Let's say I'm adding high intensity. And this is the weight. Now this weight is a graded thing that is followed in Salesforce. This weight can be depending from company to company. For some companies, it can be from 0 to 5, 0 being the lightest and 5 being the heaviest. So this weight will kind of determine how important which policy is in which service objective. Okay. So that's basically what the weight is. So I'm giving weight as 1 for now, just for now, and I'm saving it. Now, mind you, the service objective and service scheduling policy, I just selected this randomly, okay? While you're selecting in your org, you have to make sure that this matches the goal that this service objective has. Okay, I'm just doing this just to show you what it is done. So the scheduling policy objective has been created here, as you can see, with the weightage of 1. Now you can also create a new one right here if you want a new scheduling policy. Let's say I'm giving soft boundaries with the weightage of 3, and I'm saving it. A new scheduling policy objective has been created with soft boundaries with weightage of 3. So this is how a service objective is mostly functioning, and that's how scheduling policy is added onto service objective. There's many more, such as preferred service resource priority, the same site, the skill level. I already discussed these parts in scheduling policies, right? Like I said, the same policy, the same goals, and all of these are attached together. Okay. So in resource priority, the resource that is selected by the customer is prioritized over others. Then in same site, the matching territories are preferred. Then in skill level, the level of the skill is checked. So that's how these service objectives function. So we have covered scheduling policy, work rules, and service objectives. Now we will come on to the next topic, which is appointment booking. This appointment booking. So in appointment booking, it's nothing but booking an appointment after a work order and a service appointment has been created. So in appointment booking, the appointment booking here optimizes according to all the policies and the resources that are followed by that particular company to give the most ideal date and time for that particular appointment. Okay, so that's how an appointment booking is done. Okay, so now we will see how to create an appointment booking. So we will go on to the work orders. We will go on to field service and we have work orders here. Now in the work orders section, let's say I'm clicking on work order number 5 and I'm creating an appointment for this. Okay. So once the feed opens, this is where the appointment, this layout will open up where you'll see post, book appointment, candidates, emergency, new task, log a call, new note, and new event. This is the area where we will work with. So we will click on book appointment. And once book appointment opens, this takes a bit of time to load, so don't get worried about that. So in book appointment section, here we will select the territory that we want to book in the appointment of the service appointment that has been already created, and we will find the most preferable candidate. Okay. As you can see, it is loading, and this is the service appointment that we have selected just now for the work order 0005. This is the service appointment 00003. The work type has been given as maintenance. It is non-editable. As you can see here, it's maintenance. The address, if you want to give an address, a very specific location for that particular service appointment or work order, you will add it here. Then the territory that is followed here, that is showroom 1 and showroom 1 branch 2. These are the two territories that are active on my org. So I have clicked showroom 1. And now you can click on get appointments here. Now, if you want this particular appointment to be assigned to you only, then you can click on assign to me. If you don't, then that's not an issue. And you can click on get appointments. Now, since this is an entirely brand new org, there won't be any appointments coming up. Like this appointment here, there's not enough data since this is an empty org. So we will go back to the PPT, and this is kind of how your entire layout will look like, as you can see in this very PPT here. This book appointment section, you will see all the dates. All the dates will pop up. The most ideal date and time will be recommended to you. So these, as you can see, the green ones stand for ideal and the blue ones for recommended. So this is basically how, what an appointment section would look like with the dates January 11th, January 12th, January 15th, the most available ones. That's book appointment. Okay. So as you can see here, the dates have popped up in my org. The most available dates, as you can see here, This is the scheduling policy that I'm following, which is customer first default. Dispatch emergency, emergency, high intensity, and soft boundaries are the other scheduling policies that are available. I can click on these to change the particular dates. Okay. So I'm not really doing that right now, but as you can see, like I said, the green ones stand for ideal and the blue ones for recommended. So this is the most ideal time. I'll click on that, 9 to 11. And once it loads, an appointment will be booked. That's just how easy it is. As you can see, there's a tick mark. This appointment is scheduled from Tuesday, February 13th, 2024, 9 a.m. to Tuesday, February 13th, 11 a.m. Okay. So that's basically how you book an appointment. And as you can see, this is the view service appointment section. This part, you can also click on this to open the service appointment in a brand new place. See the service appointment. See the scheduled times that is being selected by you. That's the service appointment section. And this is the related list for that particular service appointment. Now we will come back to the work orders. We were just booking an appointment for 005, I assume. Yes. So we have booked an appointment to 005 here. Right. So now we'll move on to the next part, which is the candidates. So in candidates, we'll find out which candidate is the most ideal for the service appointment that has just been booked. So I booked an appointment first, right? Now I have to select which candidate has to go for that job. So that's where candidates come in. So in candidates, you can schedule this particular work order. As you can see, the service appointment, the work type, the address, and the territory. And you click on get candidates. And once again, like I said, if nothing appears, don't really worry because it's a brand new org. So once you fill in more data, everything, a whole list of candidates will appear here. But as you can see, I only got one service resource since this is the only one who is available. So this is the one option and it's given a star based on how recommendable this particular candidate is. Okay, so I'm clicking on them and 100 out of 100. Now this is the grade that is done by Salesforce based on how, like I said, how recommendable this particular service resource is. The better the service resource, the higher the grade. Now out of 100, this is automatically graded by Salesforce. So I'm clicking on this and I'm scheduling it to Vinita for this particular date. Okay. And once this loads, now this kind of takes like 10 to 15 seconds to complete the entire thing. Now the scheduling has been done for February 30th, 9 a.m. has been given to Vinita. Okay. So this is what an appointment booking and candidate selection is basically. Now the last part that we will do is the emergency. Now this is emergency dispatch. Now what exactly is an emergency dispatch? Well, it's exactly as the name suggests. In case an emergency occurs, something happened, and you have to immediately dispatch a service resource. That's when this comes in, emergency dispatch. So we have got the service appointment here, we have the work types, we have the address, the territory, and you click on emergency dispatch. I'm dispatching this. Okay, I just gave it to Vinita, but an issue has arisen. So I've decided to do an emergency dispatch. So this one, once again, I did not put in the map longitude and latitude. So I didn't really put in an address. The emergency wizard cannot run. So I'll put on an address and then do it again. Hold on, just to show it to you guys. I'll enter a location. Let's say I'm entering Kolkata from West Bengal, India, and I'm clicking on emergency dispatch. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, once again, like I said, this is a brand new org, so don't really get scared if you don't find anything. But clicking on that, as you can see, this is the map that is opened up for the area that I selected, Kolkata, for this service and emergency dispatch in red. Okay. So as you can see, this part, dispatch as soon as possible using the emergency policy. So this is the policy that is being followed. You can click on the emergency and you can see the policies here. You can also change it in case if you want to change the customer first, then the entire emergency schedule will change once again. So everything is basically editable here. Once again, dispatch as soon as possible or after current service appointment. You can click on this. In case you have got anyone, any service resource who is already working on a service appointment, then if you click on this, then what happens is Once he finishes that particular service appointment, he will proceed for this. He will not leave that job halfway done. Okay. But if you want as soon as possible dispatch, then if there is any available service resource, he will immediately dispatch himself. Okay. So that's basically how this thing works. Dispatch as soon as possible using the policies. You can decide which policy to use here. Emergency, high intensity, soft boundaries. It doesn't really matter. This all of this changes from company to company, so there's that. And this is how an emergency dispatch is mostly done. So once that happens, you have the save option here. You can just click on save, and since I don't have any candidates, I'm not saving anything. So this is the save option, and it will be dispatched immediately. So that's emergency dispatch. So in today's video, we covered appointment booking, emergency dispatch, we covered scheduling objectives, we covered work policy, service scheduling policy, work rules, service objectives, and all of that. So if you've got any doubts, you can ask me in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And thank you so much for accompanying me here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.